Shalom, shalom. It's Brother Yatazadai, hero Israel. I want to start off by giving honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash, giving double honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone, who taught us his truth. And just doing a lesson here for the concerning the Sabbath days, because according to the scriptures, there are 12 months in a year. Each day is 30 days. And the Sabbath day is kept according to the new moon. It starts in the new moon. And then from the first day, you count 7 days and you have your Sabbath. Which Sabbath, the word itself means week. Now, it also means to cease. But the point is that I'm going to give you some precepts, and this is concerning the Sabbath day. So let's get right into it. And this is book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 5. Because you have these other camps, they tell you that the Sabbath days, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. But again, the new moon is a Sabbath. So how is it that you have a new moon and then you have, let's say the new moon falls on a Thursday night. Now, some of these camps say that Thursday night to Friday night, and then since they keep the Friday Sabbath, it would be a double Sabbath. There's no such thing in the scriptures. That's not mentioned at all. We're going to prove it with the precepts. So again, the Sabbath day is according to the new moon. Now, this is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 5. Giving all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash. And again, we give the double honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone, because we learn from them. They taught us this truth, and they have the 100% truth, because these other camps, not just going off on this teaching, but there's other things that they go off. But again, the precepts are going to speak for themselves. Genesis chapter 1 and 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So the evening and the morning were the first day. That's very clear. Because you have book of Daniel, chapter 7, 25. It speaks about Esau changing the times and the seasons. Because it is written that the moon which is the lesser light and the greater light being the sun, these are for times and seasons. Now this is why these other camps, they don't understand, and it's very clear. You look it up, and Esau himself will tell you that the new moon marks the beginning of a month. Now let's go to the next precept, Genesis chapter 1 and verse 16. Genesis 1 and 16. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. So the greater light being the sun, the lesser light being the moon. He made the stars also. So the moon has its own light, contrary to popular belief, which is why, Esau, he says that he's been to the moon, but that's not possible. You would be scorched if you were to touch the surface of the moon, because it has its own radiance, its own radiance, its own heat. Genesis 1:16. God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So that's plain and clear. Now let's go to the next precept. This is the book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 12. Esther chapter 2 and 12. Salakia. Esther chapter 2 and verse 12. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the woman, for so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, with other things for the purifying of the woman. So the scriptures say that there are 12 months in a year. Now, these are just precepts that will lead up onto the precepts that I will follow up with to show you that the new moon is a Sabbath and is the beginning of a month. From there, you would count 7 days and keep the Sabbath every seventh day from there. Which is why the scriptures speak about the 8th day. The Israelite children would be circumcised on the 8th day. That doesn't mean the 8th day exactly. 8th just means an abundance of a thing. That's what the number 8. It has its signification in the scriptures. You read about that throughout the various precepts, which I will show also. Now, let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 7 and verse 11. Now, if you're new to this thing, you might not know these precepts, but these are good precepts to show you the amount of days in a month, and also to calculate certain prophecies, and also to show you that the new moon is a Sabbath, and you keep it according to the new moon, not according to these heathenists, Gregorian Calendar, and according to what the so-called white man he says, that which is he says it's Friday, Saturday. Some of those Edomites they say it's Sunday, which is nothing but folly. And these other camps are going off. So let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 7 and verse 11. Genesis 7 and 11. In the 600 year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day, were all the fountains of the great deep broken up. And the scriptures speak about the waters in the earth and the waters in the heavens, which is what happened during the great flood. The Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, opened up the waters and the firmament and released the waters from the heavens above. So it says, Genesis 7 and 11, in the 600 year of Noah's life. So that's 600 years of the life of Noah. In the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day, were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, the windows of heaven were open, and rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Now, it doesn't mean literally 40 days and 40 nights. And we're going to prove that with the next precept. So now keep in mind, the 2nd month, the 17th day, we're going to calculate that with the following verse. And verse 24. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So keep in mind, you got to keep in mind 150 days. You have the waters prevailed upon the earth. So now let's go back to verse 11. in the second month, the 17th day of the month. So second month, 17th day. So you calculate from the 17th day of the second month, so that it completes to 30 days. So the second day, the second month, 17th day, you add 13 to that, that's 30 days. So you just keep that in mind, 30 days. And so that would lead you up to the third month. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Now let's go to Genesis 8:3. And the waters returned from off the earth continually after the end of the 150 days. The waters were abated, and the ark rested in the seventh month. So now you have 13 days that were added to the second month, which makes it the third month. So from the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh month, that's 4 months. And you have the 13 days that were added. So now verse 4 says on the 17th day. So you add the 17 to the 13, and that would be 5 months. So you divide 150 by 5, that's 30 days. So that's 30 days in a month, according to the scriptures. Now, you have, like I said, Esau, the so-called white man, the devil the Bible speaks of, he's changed the times and seasons, not just to throw off prophecy, but to cause confusion, which is why in the scriptures he's known as the devil and Satan. Satan means adversary. Devil is means a deceiver, and you read about that in various accounts on how his words are smooth than butter, but war was in his heart. So this man is a goddamn devil. Now let's go to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. Daniel 7 and 25. Now I was going to do a lesson on Hanukkah also, the Feast of Dedication, but I'll go ahead and do that on a separate video. And so Daniel 7:25. And Shabbat Shalom for those who are keeping the Sabbath day as it should be, which we're in the first day of the Feast of Dedication, which is you cease from doing work on that day, those that are able. Again, we keep the commandments to the best of our ability, and you know, because we're not justified by the law. Scriptures speak about there's no condemnation to those that are in Hamashiach Yahushai. Now, so Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. He shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time, which is speaks about changing times and laws. Now he does that through his pseudoscience, which is nothing but lies. Scriptures speak about this devil using lying wonders to deceive the people. So Daniel 7:25, change times and laws, given into his hand. Why? Because he has control of these things. Now let's go to the next precept. But before I do that, let me go into the this precept on this goddamn devil using lying wonders to deceive the people, which is how he uses his which is where you get the derivative, the word pseudoscience. And this he uses it to deceive the people, which is nothing but an enchantment. Now, an enchantment is not what most people think. Actual witchcraft, you see, witchcraft is mainly smoke and mirrors to deceive the people, to deceive the mind. So let's go into the etymology. Now let's get the precept first. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 9. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 9. We'll start at 2 Thessalonians 2 and 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. So the Apostle Paul spoke about this devil being revealed in his time, which is in these latter days. The scriptures speak about his own tongue falling upon himself. Now, which is his own people exposing him. And also, this is part of our job, to expose the workings of Satan, which are the Edomites. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh Shem Yahushai shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Why? Because Mashiach Yahushai is going to return as an angelic power. And you read about that in the book of Psalms, a great tempest coming before the Lord of hosts, which is going to be in the coming of Hamashiach Yahushai and the Alahayim, to burn America, Babylon the Great up, and to melt these goddamn devils with the lasers, as well as the ICBM missiles that are going to come upon this great whore. So that's what it says, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8. Then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. And that's the second coming of Hamashiach Yahushai, to deliver his elect out of America, Babylon the Great, for you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Now I'm going to get another precept. This is Book of James, chapter 5 and verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. So that's that fire that's coming through Hamashiach Yahushai and the Alahayim, by the lasers, cut down these goddamn devils, and the ICBM missiles. And the spirit would be of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the Most High God, will be in those missiles to melt this gray whore up, and as well as you goddamn devils. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers which you have reaped down your fields, which is of you, kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered in the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. the Lord of hosts. Doesn't mean the Lord of the Sabbath. Like General Yohanan said. Fucking idiot. And verse 5, you have lived in pleasure on the earth, and been wanton. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. And there's a great slaughter coming upon this great whore. By the ICBM missiles, Hamashiach Yahushai returning as an angelic power, with Michael the Archangel, to deliver his elect, not just in America, Babylon the Great, but throughout the four corners of the earth, the remnant that are throughout the four corners of the earth, because the majority are here in America, Babylon the Great. So now let's go into the 2 Thessalonians 2:9. For lying wonders, it actually should read false wonders, which is, the Greek is Strong's 5579, a lie, falsehood, untruth, false religion. From pseudodomai, a falsehood. So this man speaks nothing but falsehood, deceit. That's part of his the enchantments that he throws upon the people, which is nothing but deception, things that deceive your mind, play tricks with your mind, and so on and so forth. Now let's go into the Strong's 5579. Pseudos, a falsehood, untruth, lie, false religion, which is part of that the false prophet and the spoken of in the book of Revelation. You read about that in the book of Revelation. The let's see if I can get that real quick. So I'm just gonna read it off the Bible I have right here, Revelation 16:13. And I saw three unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Now this is part of this devil's enchantments, because he works miracles, so-called, via his internet, his technology, his surveillance systems, to deceive the masses. And that dragon, it spoken of here, that's talking about the Roman Empire system, which is the revitalized Roman Empire here in America, Babylon the Great. The beast being NATO EU. Now they work their enchantments through their media, pop culture, which is the small hats. They work through their enchantments to deceive the masses through the pop culture, through the media, to push their propaganda on the people. And that false prophet being Christianity, Catholicism, all these churches, these religions that came out of the Vatican. Now, let me see if I can get that real quick. All right, Salakia. So it says, where did the Vatican get its name? The word Vatican literally means divining serpent, and is derived from vadis, meaning diviner, and khan being meaning serpent. Now let me see if I can get this right here. Salakia. From the online etymology dictionary, Vatican, 1550s, from Latin, mons, Vaticanus, Roman hill on which papal palace stands, by clean sources said to be an Etruscan loan word and unrelated to vadis, soothsayer, prophet, seer. And so that's where you can break down who the false prophet is, because all these false religions, which is part of a pseudoscience, came out of the Vatican. Vat meaning soothsayer, and can being serpent, or divining serpent. That's what the Vatican, when you break down the etymology, that's what that means. That's part of the false prophet spoken of in Revelation 16:13. This is where you have these different branches of religions originated from. You have Catholicism, Christianity, Islam. You have all these things came out of the Vatican. These are things that Esau perpetrates upon the masses, mainly to so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, which is the false prophet. The dragon, again, being the Roman Empire system. And we are in the revitalized Roman Empire. The beast being NATO EU, which they push through the media, Esau's propaganda on the masses. Scriptures speak about him, both small and great, deceiving both small and great, rich and poor, to take that mark. See if I can get that real quick. This is Revelation 13 and 14. Salakia. Got all these pages up. Revelation 13 and 14. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. So he deceiveth them. Same thing spoken of in Revelation 16. And I believe that's 17. Like, 13. We'll start at 14. Revelation 16:14. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. So the spirits of those devils working miracles, he works his miracles through his system, which is the dragon, the revitalized Roman Empire system, the beast, NATO EU, and the false prophet, as spoken of in the previous verse. But let's go back to the lesson at hand. See if I can close these out real quick. Actually, I wasn't gonna get that yet. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 7 verse 7. Second Maccabees 7 and 7. So when the first was dead, after this manner, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, Wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? But he answered and said in his own language, and said, No. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order, as the former did. And let's see if I can get the precept I was looking for. Second Maccabees 7 and 2. But one of them that spake first said thus, What wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the law of our fathers. So this is the seven brethren and the mother. You know, and the scriptures speak about striving for the truth unto death, and the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will fight for thee. So this is what we're doing by making these videos and speaking on doctrine. But anyway, and like they say, it is better to rather die than speak Greek. But anyways, Job chapter 38 and 33. So the new moon marks the beginning of the month, which is 30 days. There's 12 months in a year. And after the first day, you count 7 days. That's your Sabbath. I wouldn't go over that before I do that, let me get this precept. Job 38 and 33. Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? So you have to know the ordinances of heaven, because the sun and the moon were made for signs and of times, which is how you keep the Sabbath. Deuteronomy 5 and 12. Deuteronomy 5 and 12. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy God had commanded thee. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy maidservant, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. So 6 days. It doesn't say Friday to Saturday, because you're keeping these other camps that are keeping it Friday and Saturday, IUIC, and they're going off, because it's clear, and you can tell that their followers are blindly following their elders. The scriptures speak about not letting your elder cause you, your reverence for your elder cause you to fall. Read about that in the book of Sirach. But the point is that the seventh day is the Sabbath day. The new moon is the first day of the month. And the eighth day is the remaining days that you have. Because again, if you keep it first day of the month, and then 7 days after that, 7 days after that, all the way up to the end of the month, you're going to have some days remaining, which is why the scriptures speak about the eighth day, the abundance of days. So this has nothing to do with Friday, Saturday, Sabbath. It's according to the new moon. So let's go into the etymology for month. Online etymology dictionary. Month, noun, 1/12 part of a year, one of the 12 parts into which the calendar year is arbitrarily divided. Old English manau, from Proto-Germanic menoth, Old Saxon manath, Old Frisian monath, Middle Dutch manet, Dutch maand, Old High German manad, German monat, Old Norse manador, Gothic menops, which is related to menan, moon. So that is where Esau he gets the word moon from, or the word month. It goes back to the moon, which is why you keep the Sabbath on the seventh day, first day of the month, and then 7 days after that, and then 7 days after that. So let's read on down. Its cognates mean only month in the Romanic languages, but in Germanic they generally continue to do double duty. The development of the calendrical meaning for the words of this root in Greek, men, Latin menesis, was accompanied by the creation of the new words for moon. The phrase a month of Sundays, or Selena, or Luna, a very long time. So that's where you get the word month from, which is from the moon. Which is why I brought out the precept Daniel 7:25, because this devil, he through his pseudoscience changes the times, the seasons, through his laws, through his ordinances, which is where you get the Gregorian Calendar. So Gregorian, pertaining to Gregory, from late Latin, in reference to Gregory I the Great, Pope from 590 to 604. This is during the medieval times, from 500 to 1500, 5th century to the 15th century, which is why Esau called it the medieval times, because during that time, he was bound for 1,000 years, like it was spoken of in the book of Revelation. So 1640s, in reference to a new calendar, introduced 1582. So this was introduced after Esau came out of his prison hole, which was around the 1500s. Now you read about that, book of Revelation, chapter 20. Revelation 20 and Revelation 20 and 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So that little season, when he was sealed up, was from the 500 AD to the 1500s, which is 5th century to the 15th century. And after that, Daniel 7:25 came into play. He introduced the calendar from Pope Gregory the 13th. And it says the calendar was not introduced in England and the American colonies until 1752. And also the Julian Calendar, which is derived from Julius Caesar, originally and especially in reference to the calendar system that began with his reforms in 46 BCE, superseded by the Gregorian, which is it reads the proper name is from Latin Julianus, and so it was superseded by the Gregorian calendar. So what was introduced first was the Julian, and then later on, when these devils got back into power, they introduced the Gregorian calendar. Now let's show you an example. So the Gregorian calendar is a calendar used in most of the world. It was introduced in October 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII as a minor modification of the Julian calendar, reducing the average year from 365.25 days to 365.25 days, adjusting the drift in the tropical or solar year. So that's how he changes the times and ordinances through his pseudoscience. The calendar spaces leap years to make its average year 365.2425 days long. So he introduces things like leap years and which is what the small hats they do. They add months onto the 12 months that are already instituted. They observe leap years and all this nonsense. So Gregorian calendar, this is what the Gregorian calendar looks like, which is the calendar used today, which is you're going off if that's where you're keeping your Sabbath. That's how you're keeping your Sabbath. Here's a Julian calendar, all bugged out looking. The Julian calendar, proposed by Julius Caesar, 46 BC, was a reform of the Roman calendar. The calendar became the predominant calendar in the Roman Empire and subsequently most of the Western world for more than 1,600 years until 1582, when Pope Gregory XIII promulgated a minor modification to reduce the average length of the year from 365.25 days to 365.2425 days. So this is how he changes the times, and because the power is in his hand, but you cannot offset the prophecy, which is what this devil's trying to do. And this is part of his how he deceives the masses. Now so I looked into and it also has to do with his pagan inventions. So this is a derivative of the June. Derivatives of the name Junius. Juno asserts that the month is named for her. 3 goddesses present, 3 different derivations. So you can look that up yourself, but it's talking about these various false gods and idols that this devil has. Now let's go back to the precepts. This is Sirach 34:8. Sirach 34:8. The law shall be found perfect without lies, and wisdom is perfection to a faithful mouth. So the law should be found without lies. The law does not lie. If the scriptures say there's 30 days in a month, then there's 30 days in a month. If the scriptures say you follow the Sabbath by the moon, you follow it by the moon. If there's 12 months in a year, there's 12 months in a year. You don't add months, you don't take away months. As it is written, you shall not take away the words of this law. Now let's get that real quick. I believe that's Deuteronomy chapter 4. Deuteronomy 4 and 2. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you. So you're not supposed to add nor diminish from the word. And you read about that in Proverbs chapter 30. Proverbs 30 and verse 5. Every word of God is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. So these other camps are liars. They're not telling you, thus saith the Holy Bible. They're not telling you that the Sabbath day starts with the new moon, and then you count 7 days from there. You have IUIC, which is going to bring me to the next precept. They say that the new moon is when you see the full moon, which is bullshit. Now, before I do that, bring that next precept out. Let's get the Revelation 22 and 18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. Now, this goddamn devil, this is why he's got to be Obadiah 1 and 18th. Off of this alone. He changes the times, took away from the word, added his pagan holidays in it. Revelation 22:19. If any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the Salakia holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. By Hashem Mashiach Yahushai. So let's go to the next precept, Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 6. And it reads, He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. So the declaration of time is what? The new moon, which is the beginning of the month, which is the Yarach Chadash. Yarach meaning moon, Chadash meaning new, beginning. Yarach also means month, beginning of the month, or new month. Sirach 43 and verse 7. From the moon is a sign of feasts, which we entered into the tonight to tomorrow night sundown. It's the first day of the feast of dedication, Hanukkah. And Tawada Yahweh Shum Yahushai for letting us throw the prayers up and continue and to give praises unto Yahweh Shum Yahushai, and to continue what was commanded unto us, like the days of old. Sirach 43 and 7. From the moon is a sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. That's a sign of feast, decreasing in her perfection. So it's not the new moon. When the full moon is not the new moon. And Esau himself will tell you that, IUIC. Verse 8, the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully and changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Increasing. So when the moon increases, its illumination, you have the days are being, you start counting the days that follow the first of the month. So let's read about that, which is why, like I said, 8th day, you're going to have, and if you're keeping every 7th day from the month, from the beginning of the first day of the month, you're going to have some days remaining at the end of the month, which is the 8th day, just means an abundance of days. And like I said, Esau himself will tell you the same thing. So this is from Leviticus 9:1 from Bible Hub. Since the week there are 7 days, the 8th and the 1st are obviously the same. Now it was on the first day of the week that Yahushua rose from the dead. And so this in the beginning, it'll tell you in the week there's 7 days. The 8th day, that's the abundance of days. So new moon in astronomy, the new moon is first lunar phase when the moon and the sun have the same ecliptic longitude. At this phase, lunar disk is not visible to the unaided eye, but its presence may be detected because of the occult stars behind it. So as you see, that is the new moon, decreasing in her perfection and then illuminating as the days pass. New moon. In astronomy, the new moon is the first lunar phase when the moon and the sun have the same ecliptic longitude. At this phase, lunar disk is not visible. Which is why, as you can see, November 4th was the first day of the month, which is the month Kasalawa, which is was on November 4th, which was the Sabbath. So then you're gonna count 7 days. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The next day is the 11th. Since the now you got to keep in mind, Wednesday night was sundown, was the beginning of the month. At Thursday sundown, that completed the first day and starts the second day. So on Wednesday, as you can see, is when the first of the month kicked in. So that would be the 3rd. Technically the 4th, but you count it according to the when the day is fulfilled. So this is where the confusion, you might confuse this yourself sometimes. Well, this is why it's good to rehearse the righteous acts as it is written. So Wednesday to Thursday sundown, that's Sabbath. So 7 days from that is the 10th. Still on a Wednesday, so you would keep it every Wednesday according to that month. From the 24th to the 25th, that completes the Sabbath. And then going into the next month, because you see, as you can see, November 4th was when the first day was complete. So from that November to December 3rd would be the beginning of the next month, which is the month Tabath. So that is the new moon and is also Sabbath. So what do? You count 7 days from that day, which is, as you can see, that's going to fall on a Friday. That's when you complete the day. So your the Sabbath would be kept Thursday to Friday, 2nd to December 2nd to December 3rd. December 2nd sundown, December 3rd sundown, that completes a day, which is the first day of the month, which is a Sabbath. And then the following Thursday, the 9th, 16th, those are Sabbath days, all the way into the 31st. Now you have a day that remains. So that's 7, 14, 21, 28, and the second, 7, it's 28, 29, 30. So as you can see that you're gonna have, it's not always gonna be 30 days exactly where you every 7th day. You're gonna have, for example, I'm looking at the calendar I have here for this month. You have the 17th. Let's see if I can pull it back up. Previous month, 17th, which was the Sabbath, and then the 24th, which is the Sabbath, and then you're gonna have on the December 1st, which is the Sabbath, and then you're gonna have 2 days remaining until the next month. That's where the 8th day comes in. Sabbath, again, it just means to cease from something, and it also it goes into Sabbath is a week, and you read about that in the law. When you count the to the feast of weeks, it shows you that. Let's see if I can get that real quick. So as you can see, December 4th. That's going to be the Sabbath, the new moon for this coming month, which is December 4th. Really, it's the 3rd, because on the 2nd sundown to the 3rd sundown, that's when the first day is complete. Now Esau, he says it's the 4th because he's counting it according to his Gregorian Calendar, which is he's adding days and confusion. So it's really the 3rd, because the 3rd completes the first day. So that'd be December 2nd sundown and 3rd sundown. So when you write down the days, I just write down the day when the day was completed, which is the 3rd. Now, let's go back to the precepts. This is Ezekiel 43 and 27. Ezekiel 43 and 27. And when these days are expired, it shall be that upon the 8th day, and so forward, the priest shall make your burnt offerings upon the altar, and your peace offerings, and I will accept you, saith the Lord God. So the 8th day and forward, that means in the abundance of days. Leviticus 12 and 2. So you can't always, when you read 8th day, it's not always literal, as you can see even in the law. Leviticus 12 and 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation, for her infirmity shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. So that's not on the 8th day. Exactly. The 8th day is when the child is swaddled, meaning he is he's cleaned up and prepared to be circumcised. And let's go to the Sirach 43:3. Sirach 43:3. Actually, thought I'd written down a different one. Okay, I guess that wasn't it. Let's move on to Romans 14:4. Now, the scriptures speak about not judging the days that each individual observes. As it is written, let no man judge you in meat and drink. But the point is that if the scriptures say what it say, you're going off and you're adding, taking away from the word. Now, the scriptures speak about correcting your people, not suffering sin upon them. And we're keeping the law to the best of ability, but you got to understand certain things were written for that time period. When Paul spoke about, let's see if I can get it, Romans 14:4. For art thou the judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth, yea, he shall be holden up, for God is able to make him stand. One man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. Now, Paul also speaks about all things being lawful but not expedient. Why did he say that? Well, because during that time they were under a Roman captivity, which was they had certain tools that were not available in their hand in order to keep high holy days. Information was not as abundant as it is today. Now, there's no excuse with all this information that you have available to not keep the Sabbath day correctly. And the scriptures speak about keeping the law to the best of your ability. And some of the things written for our understanding, some things were written for that specific time period. And the scriptures speak about not using your liberty as a cloak of maliciousness, which is why we call out these other camps, because it's malicious to say that the Sabbath is Friday to Saturday sundown, when that doesn't say that in the law. This is why Paul said, we established the law. Romans 3:31. Proverbs 12:24. The scriptures speak about the being diligent. So Proverbs 12:24. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. So that speaks for itself. You know, these other camps, they're blindly following their leaders. And if the blind follow the blind, they will both fall into a ditch. which is in the scriptures also speak about not being ignorant in a small or a big matter. Matthew 25:15. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. So this is a parable Mashiach Yahushua spoke about. One received 5 talents, one received 2, and to another he gave 1. So this is about growing in this thing, being diligent so you can bear rule. Now you think Yahushua is gonna give the slothful 5 cities, like it is written in the parable, to rule over 5 cities if you're not diligent? So we're not hiding that talent in a napkin. We're taking the talents we have, and you have to increase in this thing. It's not about being slothful, which is what are these other these other Israelites that are following these other camps. They're not searching the scriptures whether it be so, like those that were in Berea. They just accept any crazy bugged out doctrine that their elders put out, which is why here at this channel, Hero Israel, the content we publish is after the teachings of the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. We give them double honors because they give us the 100% truth, and we continue in their doctrine. We're not. I'm going to make it clear. Hero Israel, this channel is not part of Great Millstone. We follow their doctrine, and ultimately the doctrine comes from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, because you get it from the scriptures. But elders and apostles of Great Millstone, they have the 100% truth, which is why we continue in their doctrine. And that's all according to the Holy Scriptures. This is the book of Amos, chapter 8, and verse 5. Amos 8 and 5, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit. So the new moon is the Sabbath. And that starts the beginning of the month. And then you count 7 days from there. We're going to prove that in 1 Samuel 20 and 5. As it is written, not according to what we think, what we want to perpetrate onto those that are unlearned. 1 Samuel 20 and 5. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the fields until the 3rd day at evening. So this is the 29th day of the day before the new moon. So you have 1 day before the 3rd month, which is the 29th day. And David said he would hide himself until the 3rd day. Now he did hide himself until the 3rd day. But when you read further on down, Jonathan met David on the he met him on the 3rd day, which makes it the 4th. He was David was hiding for 4 days, because 1 day before the new moon, that was the 29th day of the previous month. And he said he would meet John at third day evening. So the third day plus the last day of the previous month, that's 4 days from the time that he hid and then from the time that he met Jonathan. And then from 4 days, just keep that in mind, and then we'll bring out the next precept. 1 Samuel 20 and 18. Then Jonathan said unto David, Tomorrow is the new moon. Thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. Verse 24. So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat. So King Saul, he sat down to meat in the new moon. So that makes it a day that David was hid. And verse 27. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meat, neither yesterday nor today? So that's on the second day. Verse 27. So yeah, that's the second day. So that would make it 3 days when David was hid. Now let's go down. 1 Samuel, same chapter, verse 35, 1 Samuel 20 and 35. And it came to pass in the morning that Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David, and the little lad with him. So in the morning, that is the third day. That is the third day of the month. So that means that David was hid for 4 days. Now, you fast forward to the following chapter, 1 Samuel 21 and 5. So keep in mind, there was 3 days that had passed when John met with David. That was the third day of the month, and David fled that same day. 1 Samuel 21 and 5. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of the truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days, since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yet though it was sanctified this day in the vessel. So you add the 3 days from when David left John's presence, and then 3 more days passed when they were journeying. David and his troops and his band of men, and so that would be 6 days, which would be the eve of the Sabbath, following the new moon, which is the first day of the month, which is why the priest gave him the hallowed bread, because that was the bread that was sitting there from the previous Sabbath. Verse 6. So the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no bread there but the shewbread that was taken from before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away, which this was the eve of the Sabbath, when the priest would throw that old bread away and put the new bread up, which is why he gave it to David. Now that goes into the why Yahushua Mashiach, he said the Sabbath day was made for men and not men for the Sabbath day, because his ultimate the ultimate reason for the Sabbath being instituted was to rest yourself, to be refreshed. We're going to go into the Hebrew for that. Before I do that, let's get 1 Maccabees 2:37. First Maccabees 2:37. But said, let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that you put us to death wrongfully. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people. So before that, Mattathias and his troops, they fought in the Sabbath, which it was breaking the law, but the scriptures speak about not being righteous over much. Now today, we have the Hamashiach Yahushai as a means to have forgiveness for sins that we weren't able to avoid, like certain laws, like the Sabbath day. If we're not able to keep the Sabbath, now we keep the laws to the best of our ability, but the scriptures speak about there's no condemnation to those that are in Hamashiach Yahushai. But again, we establish the law. We keep the law the best we can. But the point is, and First Maccabees 2 and verse 31. Now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was in Jerusalem, in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down in secret places in the wilderness, they went down there to keep the Sabbath day, and they were slaughtered, which is that's being right over righteous. Why? Because even back then you were able to offer a sacrifice for atonement. Nowadays we have Hamashiach Yahushai as a redemption from those sins of certain laws that we're not able to keep. Which brings me to my next precept, Mark 2:27. And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Why? Because ultimately the Sabbath was instituted for one to be refreshed, to be rested. That was the whole point. It wasn't to be under a yoke of a bondage. Verse 28, therefore the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. And these small hats don't understand that. They don't understand that the Sabbath was made for man to rest, not to be under not man for the Sabbath, not to be under the yoke of oh, it's a Sabbath. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. Yeah, we established the law, but the point is that the Sabbath was made for men to rest. Numbers chapter 8 and verse 2. This is Numbers 8 and 2. Which is if you're keeping the feast of dedication, of course you can light your menorah. The scriptures speak about the priest doing that, and You read about that in the New Testament. When Hamashiach Yahushai was offered up, the temple being rent in two, that was a symbolism for the nation of Israel being under that priesthood of Malach Tazadot, and the whole nation of Israel receiving the priesthood, because as it is written in the law, you will be a nation of kings and priests. Numbers 8:2, speak unto Aaron, and say unto him, when thou lightest the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light over against the candlestick. So we can do that, although it is a Sabbath. Scriptures speak about not lighting a fire in your place. Let me see if I can get that real quick. It says Exodus 35:3. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. Now, because back then you had fires being kindled outside of the tents, and today you have certain things that like using a microwave. Of course, if it's a Sabbath, you don't use the microwave. That's Now, do you turn every lights off? Do you turn everything off on the Sabbath day? That's not what it's talking about. You're being righteous over much. So we keep the law to the best of our ability, but we have grace, which we don't use a microwave. We don't cook on the Sabbath day. You can cook on the new moon, but on the Sabbath day, you gotta have things prepared. This is why the day before the Sabbath, that's the preparation day. You prepare what you need. But as you can see in Numbers 8:2, Aaron the priest, he lit the candlestick. Now, can we light the candlestick during the feast days? Of course we can, because we're under the priesthood under Melchizedek, Malach Tazadok. We are a nation of kings and priests. The priests light up the candlesticks. They did not defile the Sabbath. You see, this is why you have to have a good understanding, and you gotta understand the law as well as the things that Hamashiach Yahushai taught. Now let me see if I can get that precept. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 12 and verse 5. Matthew 12:5. Or have ye not read in the law, how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? We are a nation of kings and priests. This is why you have to understand New and Old, New Testament and Old, the law, the prophets, things Hamashiach Yahushai taught, as well as the epistles. You have to understand some things were written for that time period. Some things apply to today. Let me see if I can get that precept in Matthew. I believe it's 27, 26. Matthew 27:51. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain, from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. So the veil of the temple signified the nation of Israel receiving the priesthood, and not just only for the Levites. At this time, the nation of Israel were under the order of Melchizedek, the new priesthood, which is under Hamashiach Yahushai, under the living sacrifice that he made. And as it is written in Matthew 12:5, the priests lit the candlesticks and they did not profane the Sabbath. Why? Because it was towards the work of the ministry, keeping the commandments, keeping the Sabbath day, keeping the rehearsing of righteous acts. Which is why the Apostle Paul, he spoke about the nation of Israel being a royal priesthood, kings and priests. Or Salakia, the Peter, the head of the church. I believe that's 2 Peter. Salakia. First Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness unto his marvelous light. So that's clear. A royal priesthood. The priesthood, when the temple was rent in two, that gave the priesthood that was exclusively under the original covenant to the Levites. Now, the word Levite itself, Lawaya, means joined unto me. When that happened, the temple was rent in twain. The veil of the temple was rent in two. That introduced, we all became joined unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and into that new priesthood, which is under the order of Melchizedek, which gives us the same privileges, which is why we can, as it is written, bless the nation of Israel just like the Levites did. Ecclesiastes 7:16. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? So this is what during the time of the Maccabees, some of these men, they were being over righteous, and even during the times of Hamashiach Yahushai, certain of the Pharisees, they were being over righteous by forbidding Hamashiach Yahushai to heal on the Sabbath day, and certain other accounts that you read of. Now let's look at the etymology for Exodus 23:12, where it says, for the purpose of the Sabbath day. This is why the Sabbath day was made, to refresh oneself. That goes into the word napash, meaning to breathe, to be refreshed. To breathe upon, be refreshed. Refresh oneself. Shabbat, meaning the Sabbath. From Leviticus 23:15. Shabbai, Shabbathwath, which is 7 weeks. That tells you that the Sabbath is not only a day of rest, it's a week, which is why you count 7 days from the new moon, which is the first day of the month. Which is why in the law it's written 7 Sabbaths or weeks of years. You count the 7 Sabbaths unto the to reach the 49 days. Because there's 7 weeks, a Sabbath is a interval of weeks. Which is why if you look at Exodus 31 and 15, Bible Hub, it says Shabbat, strong 76, intermission. Now let's look at intermission, a pause or break, intermit, from the verb late Middle English, from Latin intermission, from the verb intermittere, suspend or discontinue. Latin intermittere, between, let go. Now let's look at mid-16th century, between, metiere, let go. So this is from Merriam-Webster. A synonym for intermission is interval, which is a week is an interval. So not only Shabbat means to cease, it's also used in the law as an interval of weeks, which is why you count 7 Sabbaths, 7 weeks. You see, this is why you got to understand the law. IUIC, they don't believe in going into the Hebrew. And then interval, an intervening time or space, a pause or break in activity. And even in the law, it speaks about the Sabbath is for rest. Now, rest in the Hebrew is nawach, to appease, to give comfort, give rest. Primitive root, settle down, remain, to rest. I was looking for something else. To withdraw, to give comfort. This is why Mashiach Yahushua said the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath, because the Sabbath was ultimately to appease oneself. Now, do you do that by going out and running a mile? That's going off. You appease yourself by getting the necessary rest, refreshing yourself. Now, again, we establish the law. We don't sin willfully. Sin being the transgression of the law. But anyways, I think I made my point. So this is lesson is called the Sabbath day. It starts with the new moon and is every 7 days. The new moon is the Sabbath, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash. Hope you brothers were edified. And say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Abad Babal, and Shalom.